No, sit up front so it looks like I'm not talking to an entirely empty room.
Yeah. You want me to
my mouth in it?
No.
If you just face this way.
Yeah, come up and join so at least it looks like somebody's here. I'm not talking to my...
I gotta figure out where I'm gonna sit though. It's rolling, but I'll cut all this out.
Okay.
I gotta figure out because I'm tall and if I sit.
Where should I can move
No, I
you.
think you.
You want me in the front row? Yeah, I can.
Megan, right?
Yeah, if you guys do front row and I'll do second row. I just know if I sit right here, I'll completely block a bunch of that. Over here, if you want your back.
Now yours is gonna look like you had the most people here. All the rest you can't see
Let's we get some cardboard cutouts and put them up here or something, and just you know what we need? Like Mystery Science Theater 3000. We need the talkie. Have you ever seen that show?
No, I don't think so.
It's a guy that's marooned on a spaceship, and he makes his robots, and then he watches old movies with his robots, and they talk to the screen the whole time. And they yell at. They're just the worst movies. They're actual old B movies that are just terrible. And you just see the robots and him sitting there throwing popcorn and yelling at the screen like Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's hilarious.
We have a Cage the Coyote costume out there. Maybe we can put it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
A mascot, yeah.
All right. Well, welcome. I'm excited to be here. This is fun. Sports have been really good to me. I had never really considered myself much of a sports person, but it turns out I guess I kind of am a little bit. When I was younger, my first sport I played was baseball, and I played all-star catcher, and I was bored. And I was thinking, man, if I'm bored and the pitcher is bored, I can't imagine what that right fielder is feeling. So I ended up seeing a sign out at Valley Fair Mall that was signups for youth hockey. And this is when I was 6, so it's a long time ago, early 70s. And so I remember like going into this old, it's not there anymore, this beat up ice rink up in Sugar House called Hygeia, tiny little locker rooms. The wooden benches were, I swear some of them came over as hand carts. And we're trying to take all of the gear that I just bought out of the shopping bag, and we're taking off the cardboard and the plastic and stuff, trying to figure out what to do with it. I mean, they literally had a garter belt, and it was me and my dad in there just trying to is this a tie? Is it tourniquet? I don't know. So that's kind of where that started, and I fell in love with that. Was never great at it. But really loved the sport, loved to hang out at the rink, met a lot of really good friends. And you skip forward many decades, and I'm able to work with USA Hockey at the 2002 Olympics and literally meeting royalty, literal and figurative royalty in hockey. I met Wayne Gretzky was there, the King and Queen of Sweden sat right next to us while we're doing our projects, and we got to meet the president of Latvia. We got to meet the Zamboni family, which I don't know if you know this about the Zambonis, but the guy that invented the Zamboni was born in Eureka, Utah, and grew up just outside of the Lava Hot Springs, working on a farm there. And his idea was he moved to Southern California, and they made this little ice facility, much like the one I just described. And he didn't like the ice. He didn't like the ice. He didn't like the ice machines that they had at the time. So he converted a tractor into an ice machine for his rink. And now they are like the premier ice maintenance of everywhere. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, their last name is Zamboni. Yeah, Frank Zamboni. Yeah, I got to meet them, and yeah, just all kinds of stuff. So sports is really good for a lot of different ways. And that's going to be kind of a theme today. My journey with lacrosse started the same way as almost everybody else's here, I think, is like, hey, Dad, I want to do this. And my oldest daughter played 1 year of lacrosse as juniors, and her very first game, they didn't even have a practice. She shows up at her first game, and I kid you not, their coach had her play goalie the first game. No idea. I'm like, she's never coming back. There's nobody but she did. She liked it enough that the next year she said, hey, Dad, next year I'm supposed to play for the high school. I'm like, that's nice. And I was coaching Viewmont High School. I had been doing that for a long time. and started DCYHA. And she said, yeah, but they don't have a girls team. So I said, you find enough players, I'll take care of everything else. So I started the Viewmont girls program. The next season we started the Viewmont youth program, and I taught most of those girls we recruited. I taught a lot of those girls from 4th grade all the way through 12th grade. And a lot of them in between, and high school and stuff in between and everything else, but just learning the ropes. Like I remember spending 2.5 hours trying to figure out how to paint the lines on the field. Just an awful ordeal. The worst field that's in the state of Utah was at Farmington Junior High. Potholes like as big as this table. It was awful. So there's 4 things that I wanted to talk about today. The first part is, what are we really doing? The second one is talk about culture is designed with intention. The third is elevate the sport. And the fourth is sustained curiosity. And I've always believed that sports brings out the absolute best and the absolute worst, sometimes in the same people. Have you noticed that? There's just something about it that it just, why do you think that is?
Because I think passion goes in both ways.
Okay.
Because you can be passionate about it in a good way, but also passion can also thrive, can also create so much intensity that it comes out as negativity.
Yeah. And can you imagine playing any sport without passion?
Right.
Right? I mean, that's what we try to instill in them, is passion. Now, we don't need to Bjorn Borg or McEnroe and throw the tennis racket every time, or pound on the glass and say, hey, ref, you suck. Which, by the way, most refs can't hear you when you say that. That plexiglass is a pretty good soundproof barrier. So I also came across something. So what are we doing? What are we doing as coaches, as league, what are we doing with sports? How do you boil it down?
I mean, we're trying to grow people, like create. Honestly, I feel like why I do it is because I want to give kids to find a new path, like something that they can be passionate about, and have confidence, like start to grow new desires, skills, but confidence on the field, but also like be more confident in life.
If you have confidence on the field, you're going to have confidence off the field. Confidence is confidence, right? Yeah. And passion is passion. And we don't want to coach that out of them either. I had this ring true to me a couple of years ago. There was a Ted Lasso quote where they quoted John Paul II, who used to play football, kick football, right? I didn't know that, but he said, out of all the unimportant things in life, football is the most important. And I'm like, that really puts it into perspective, right? You can have passion for a sport, but that doesn't make it the most important thing. But the things we do on the field, we can instill the most important thing if we do it right. It can't be about the wins and losses, right? And we want to win. I think competition brings out the best and worst in people too. I love the saying that says the world record for the high jump wouldn't be nearly as high if it weren't for that bar. Someone puts a bar there and say, I jumped over that. Next person says, I can jump higher than that, move it up. Right? And that's great. It helps humanity, it helps people, it helps us grow and challenge ourselves, provided we understand what are we really doing. What are the important things we're doing in this unimportant sport? I think that kind of helps put it into perspective. Like you said, we're growing individuals. We're giving them opportunities to extend themselves, to be part of a team, be part of a community, to build the confidence, to build skills and talents and trust in themselves, communication. So there's so many great things that go on. But they can also be teaching the exact worst habits in all of those same fields, if we're not really, really careful, in my opinion. So let's talk about culture as designed with intent. And I'll go through, what does a winning season look like for most coaches, do you think? You deal with a lot of coaches. What does a winning season look like?
Probably their record.
Okay. Whether you got the trophy at the end or not, right?
Yeah.
I don't even care about second place.
Yeah.
Or maybe just do it better than last year. That's always good too, right? Or beat that one team we haven't beat yet. That was always a big thing for us, is play our best game against the teams that. And we never won the state championship, and I defy you to tell me that we didn't have successful seasons year after year after year after year. We absolutely did. We got to play in playoffs. We got to go a little ways in the playoffs. And we actually did fairly well at a couple of the times when we did that. But we never did take that championship home in lacrosse. We did in hockey a couple of times. And the one time we won, one of the years we won, it was actually the year the LA Kings won the Stanley Cup. And all of the players get to take the Stanley Cup back home for the day. Well, Trevor Lewis played for the LA Kings. He was from Salt Lake. He's the only player from Utah that has won a Stanley Cup. And he brought it home and invited our champion team to meet in the governor's office with the Stanley Cup and him. So that was pretty cool that year. That was kind of fun. We took them to nationals a couple of times, which is big stage. And there are kids on the other teams that are from AAA teams in all over the U.S. whose the names on their back of the jersey match the names that are in the NHL, and not on accident. And I'm like, all of my players came from Viewmont. We have players. They had half their team had Icelandic, Swedish names on it. Cousins that were playing on the team, and I'm like, I've watched your dad play forever. He's awesome, and your uncle is pretty good too. And yeah, we just went and had a good time. What if we defined winning as the way every player feels about themselves at the end of every game? Just every game, right? Win, lose, draw, whatever. Even if you had a bad game, do you understand why? Do you know you're going to get better? Do we know what we can work on? It identifies it. That's great. Really doesn't matter. A lot of times the other team won't do that. A lot of times the fans won't let us do that, and a lot of times their own parents won't let them do that. And that's really the sad part. I mean, unfortunately, I saw too many of my players whose parents never even came to the game. Watched their son play losing football for Viewmont for 4 straight years, and the dad never once made it to his daughter's lacrosse game. She was actually pretty good. And that just kills me, right? But what was winning? I don't know. Winning was supporting your kids. But let's talk about culture, because culture involves everyone. So how does it involve coaches? It comes from stepping back from the X's and the O's. We do need to do that. We do need to cover that, but that can't be priority. It comes from stepping back with wins, loss. It comes with our attitude, because coaches' attitudes will filter down with everyone. The way the coach feels about the game is the way the players feel about the game. The way the coach feels about the officiating is the way the players will feel about the officiating. Sometimes that doesn't translate to the parents on the far side. That may not, but if a coach gets upset or shrugs off a bad call, the players will do the same. And in quick step, right? So you focus on wins and areas for improvement. What are the small wins today? I would have my players, we had a culture of every practice, I'd have them think of something they wanted to accomplish, what they wanted to focus on. And then since I coached girls and most of the time they were younger, I would have them come up with a sound that represents what they want. If they want to work on shooting, it would be whoosh, or vroom, if they were going to work on their speed or something. And then when they went through the stick check line at the beginning of practice, just as they stepped onto the field, we made it a ritual, stepping on the field and stepping off the field. When you step on the field for practice or a game, you're leaving all of the problems at home and everything else. You're going to leave that, compartmentalize that a little bit, and let's just focus on being here and having fun and being with this team. And so they'd make that sound as they step onto the field. And I'd say, I'd have them come up with goals for every game. What's your goal for today? I want 3 ground balls. Great, that's awesome. And we could lose 18-0. If you had your 3 ground balls, great job. I also created I will pass this around to the audience here. I don't know, you've probably seen this before. I created a journal one year for all of our players. And it focuses on, it has the schedule in front, it has the introduction, but it also has a place for what are their team goals. And these are exercises that they do with their team captains. They'd set academic goals at home. They'd set goals for themselves for the year. This is our team contract and our player contract, and the parents had to sign it and the players signed it. And then we didn't always go through everything every single year. And in the back, we had the contacts of all the other, I had the contacts for the coaches. We had a team contact back here for all the players. We had places where they could set up their own plays. We talked about possible themes, improvements for next year. Arriving at the field, what do warm-ups look like? What is dynamic stretching? Nutrition plan. And we would have the captains choose which sections of these they wanted to go through and which time, and I would build their pages into the journal for the next year. That was a lot of culture, and I had on there the definition of team. Come together as a team to achieve a common goal, as used in a sentence. Their ability to team up to overcome any obstacles was truly inspirational. Synonyms: join, force, collaborate, get together, work together, unite, combine, cooperate, link, ally, and associate. Nowhere does it say to win. Right? And I think and then I had the Teddy Roosevelt quote that Brene Brown made famous. It's not the critic that counts. It's not the man who points out how strong, or points out how the strong man stumbles, or I change this to woman, or where the doer of deeds could have actually done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best, in the end of the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. So that was kind of our culture, our theme for the year.
Dare mighty things.
Dare mighty things.
Right there.
Yeah.
That was ours. That wasn't.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And then that resonates: win, losses, on the field, off the field, at home, with your friends at school. And people started to see our team as a team, and they started to see that we instilled that, and their friends wanted to join, and it built the program, and the parents bought into this. And eventually, for most of the parents, we'll talk about them next, actually. So we had team rituals, shared language, captains. I talked about them. The players, I'd have them make extremely little goals. Every little goal. What's your goal for practice? What's your goal for this week at home? What's your goal for whatever? And part of coaching, I believe, is connecting with your players before, during, and after practice, which means you have to have other people there helping so they can actually start and run practice while you're having one-on-ones with the players. That's where the actual coaching comes in there, right? Is you have somebody else running the drill, and you say, hey, come here for a minute. Show me what you did again. How did that work out for you? Have you considered doing this, right? And I love the way that USA Lacrosse has worked the small games in there now. And everything, and it's not, these are the 12 steps to picking up a ground ball. Pick up the ground ball, whatever works for you. You might want to try this. I would try to, one of the things I did in hockey is I would try to figure out, I would find somebody doing it right, and I'd point it out and say, what did Timmy just do? And Timmy, wait, hold on, and blow the whistle, stop. Everybody like, what did Timmy just do? And Timmy would do it again. He thought he invented the deke for like 6 years. And later when he was like 18, he goes, Coach, I found out that I didn't invent that. It was like, but I could have taught them what the deke was, but the fact Timmy did it, and they all tried the Timmy, and all season long we're doing the Timmy. We're practicing on the goalies. You see Timmy this? All of that came from them. They're teaching themselves. I don't need to be the one to bring it up. I just need to point it out and let everybody else try it. Okay, so for parents, we had a parents meeting at the beginning, middle, and end of the season. And the parents, we would sit down and do parts of this with the parents and the players. We would talk about the goals for the year, which didn't include win-loss record. It didn't include number of goals for your player, right? I would allow them to make goals for assists, to set goals for assists, but I wouldn't let them set goals for goals. we would also watch a video, which we can watch at the end, because it ties directly into officiating. Do you want to edit it out? We can come back later, or do you want to watch the video now? I'll just pull it up because I think this is a great video. It does tie in later, but no.
And then you just send me the link to the video.
Okay, can everybody see this? I won't put it on the big screen. Scoot a little bit closer if you want. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Okay, don't say anything. Just watch the video. Your goal is to count how many times you'll see two sets of teenagers. 3 of them are wearing black t-shirts, 3 of them are wearing white t-shirts. Your job is to count how many times the team in white passed the basketball. It's just like a 45-second video.
$14.
14?
I saw Bigfoot.
How many did you get?
14.
And then we asked, did anybody see anything different? And literally 10% of the people will go, like, what did you see? And they're like, a gorilla?
That's what we just said.
Yeah, did you see the gorilla?
No.
Did you see a gorilla?
Oh man, I saw the gorilla and I was like,
Okay, I'm going to show you this video again. It's the same video.
I have seen this before.
Okay.
I actually thought in my brain, I'm like, no, you should look at that. Nope. Don't look at
I
that
didn't think
video.
of it at all.
Yeah.
There is a person in a gorilla costume that walks and stands in the center of the frame, turns, faces the camera, beats their chest, and then walks out the other side of the...
Really? During that first one I watched.
I'm just going to rewind it. Look, I'm no magic trickies.
that's how bad I am at paying attention.
How many passes did you get?
I didn't. I saw the people in black passing, and I got distracted, and then I saw Bigfoot, and I got really distracted.
2, 3, 4. But they will argue, was it 14, was it 15, was it 16 passes? But right about here, you'll see the shadow.
That's where you lost me.
Hilarious.
I did not see that.
How did you miss that, ref? How did you miss that? There was a gorilla in the crease. How did you not see the gorilla in the crease? And I will tell all the parents, how many of you didn't see the gorilla? And they'll argue with me. That wasn't the same video you just showed. Yeah, no, it was the same video. You didn't see the gorilla. And when the refs don't see something, it's not because they're blind or they're stupid. Refs miss things. And how can you miss it? How did you miss that? You're watching your child almost exclusively. You may be watching for a person, but can you believe you missed that? I mean, seeing that the second time, it's like, there's no way I missed that the first time. It's a very famous video. Just for that reason, people like, there's no way. Like, so you guys need to ease up on the refs. When I started officiating, I learned a lot. I've been coaching and playing for a long time. When I started reffing hockey, one of my earlier games, wasn't one of my first, probably one of my first 25 games. I'm standing right at the goal. I'm standing right here at the goal. And I blow my whistle and I point, it's a goal. And then I think, oh no, wait, that wasn't a goal. And I wave it off. And I think again, I'm like, no, that was a goal. And I pointed at it again. Never do that. Everybody's upset. You look like a complete idiot. The coach that let in the goal, his team let in the goal, that I wasn't a goal and then was a goal, and we did put it up on the scoreboard, was a guy that used to be a linesman for the Salt Lake Golden Eagles back in the day. So he's refereed at the highest level and run lines at the highest level. And I used to pound on the glass when I was younger and yell, "Brickley, you suck!" Well, Matt and I became pretty good friends. This day we were not friends. And so I skated over to the bench because I felt like I owed him an explanation. And I just said, okay, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, I eventually got the call right. And then I told him what I saw and didn't see and saw and didn't see. It takes a while to get used to it. I mean, hockey and lacrosse, it's a bang, bang play. When people are running at top speed in 4 different directions and balls are moving, something ends up in your net and you don't know if it's somebody's goggles or a goal or a ball, right? Or the head of a stick or who knows what, right? All kinds of weird things happen. Just take a step and remember the gorilla. I would tell my parents, just remember the gorilla. You don't see it. When I started reffing hockey, and I never really got hard on the refs. I only ever got one red card coaching, and it was when Cassie was reffing. She knows that. She knows. She doesn't let me forget it every single time. But there were a lot of head contact, and I know she was playing with some younger people. It was a yellow card. It was a yellow card. And she stood there. She said, "Brian, you need to calm down." And I'm like, "You've got to start calling them because somebody's going to get hurt." I was worried about. And so she gave me a yellow card, and I just nodded my head like, "Yep, totally deserved that." Was expecting it, but still, you need to call it. But I hardly ever did that. Mainly because even before I started refereeing, I didn't do it a whole lot. But when I started officiating, the one thing that I would criticize the refs about between whistles is their positioning. I didn't know when you started reffing how big of a deal the positioning was. You know all the rules. Where are you supposed to stand? How do you get there? When do you leave? What are you looking at? What are your partners supposed to be looking at? How are you going to communicate when that should switch? I mean, it gets really, really tricky. And the only time I would talk to an official is if they weren't in the right position. If you were in the right position and you just didn't see the gorilla, I've been there. I've done it. I've done it. Right? It happens. But if you're not in the right position and you're just being lazy, now lacrosse refs do hockey. They do ref like 2 or 3 games, but poor lacrosse officials are doing doing 8 games a day. Sometimes it's crazy. You get a break, you get a hot dog and a break for lunch, and then you're back on for 3 more games. It's just, and in the heat, yeah, it's tough. So why did I bring all that up? Where was I going with all that? Oh, my parents' meeting. I want them to realize I talk to the officials, you do not. And by the way, I won't be talking to the officials much. So you won't be talking at all. I also got the parents involved. Most of players for lacrosse, especially the girls lacrosse, it's a growing market. And it's nobody have played. Just the kids that are on the field are the only ones that have played. Coach, when I grew up playing hockey, the whole time I was playing hockey from when I was 6 till I graduated from high school, I only ever had one coach that had ever played the sport. Most of my coaches couldn't skate. They never even got on the ice. They coached us from the bench. And where would we have been without them, right? But they don't know the rules or the strategies, or they just need someone to change the lines and fill up the water bottles, So we all start there. But the parents you get the great strategy of get it the whole game. It's like, okay, it's a little more strategic than that. We do have 11 players and they can't all, as you suggest, get it. We'd like some of them to stay in the goal circle, some of them to be open for a pass. So I would try to get them involved, and I had 2 parents that I'm like, hey, you know what? I really need your help. I need you to go learn how to take stats. And this was when their daughter was even in 4th grade. Because I wanted to know if our goals were going to be ground balls, I need to know who gets a ground ball, which means you need to know what a ground ball is and what it is not. And even though we're not reporting that to the league, we will eventually. And it did a couple of things. It brought them on my side of the field. So they were a lot closer sitting right here because they could hear me talking to the girls. They could hear me talking with the officials. They could hear my tone, and it's like, oh, we don't need to scream. And I'm like, and I also told them, if you sit on this side of the field, there is no talking to anybody. Not the players, not your daughter, not the table, not the officials. Just you talk to each other. And they took stats for 7 years. And they did a great job for us in stats. They ended up really understanding the game better than almost any parents on the other side. And that was a big thing for me, is to get them involved in helping with that. And we all start, you don't ask for people to be assistant coaches. You ask for someone to help roll balls to the goalie on Thursdays. We just need someone to throw balls at a goalie. That's all you need to do. You don't need to wait. Eventually, they're your defensive coach, right? But not up front. But so that's a little bit easier. And then the officials is part of it. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Talk about the journal. Talk a little bit about culture. One game when those girls that I'd coached forever, I don't know if they were juniors or seniors, but we were playing American Fork in American Fork, and American Fork had been having a couple of great seasons in a row. They were really hard to beat. Their coach, I don't know if he still coaches. He is my brother-in-law's boss now.
Oh, really?
And he's been working for him for like 6 years. But he's a great guy. I always had a lot of respect for him. They always had a great team. Anyway, we were down there, and just in warm-ups, I could tell these girls are worried. They were in their heads. They were missing passes. They were just worried about losing to this great American Fork team. And so I gave up about 10, 15 minutes of warm-ups and got them all together. Put your sticks down, lay on your back, spread out, put all your heads in a circle and your feet out like a star, and breathe. Close your eyes. Can you feel the sun on your face? It's a beautiful day to play lacrosse. Can you feel the grass under your hands? You're out here with your friends. We're out here to have fun. We've worked really hard all season, and we're going to play our best today. And that's all we can do. And we didn't win, but they played much better than they were warming up. And they actually were playing with a smile on their face the whole day. And honestly, if I would have given that up to win the game, I wouldn't have done it, because they were stressed. They were worried about it. And it's like, I do think we need to challenge the girls that are there that could play at college. The one girl out of every 15 teams that may actually play Division I. And I had one. She was my best player that I've had a couple of girls play Division I. She was the best player that I've ever coached in any sport. I'll tell you a funny story about her too. Our senior year, she was our captain. She was all-state midfielder her junior year. I think maybe even her sophomore year. She might have been second team all-state. But she got the MVP midfielder of the year as a junior, and I didn't nominate her senior year. And the reason was she didn't ask for any of the games off for playoffs, and she missed 2 playoff games. She's team captain. I'm like, Danny, we're counting on you. You've got to get those days off. And she couldn't get them off. I'm like, you've got to be there for your team. And I talked with her about it and told her what was going to happen. And she said, and she worked at the aquarium because she wanted to be a marine biologist when she grew up. I'm like, what 12-year-old doesn't want to be a marine biologist when you grow up? And you got to get it time. She didn't get time off, so I didn't nominate her. And she actually went to play for Fresno State. And I emailed her coach and said, just so you know, she didn't get any postseason awards this year. It wasn't because she wasn't eligible. It was because I didn't nominate her, and this is why. But don't hold that against her next year. I just kind of letting you know. Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, she sends me a picture of her in a wetsuit training the killer whales at SeaWorld. And the person that's in the picture that she's working with, she has the same picture. I don't know if it's with the same killer whale or not, but it was the same trainer that she took when she was 8. So yeah, she became a marine biologist. She lives in Hawaii now, and she's still doing her thing. So yeah, very, very, very talented player. And yet, in the end, she did not go on to play professional lacrosse, as most of them don't. Most of them go on to have normal lives. I still want them to have a love of the game. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Okay, so elevate the entire sport. Team roles. Coaches have to coach the players where they are. You can't all have the MVP midfielder at every position. There are some people in hockey that could not shoot a puck, couldn't control a puck, but they could skate fast in a straight line, couldn't turn or stop. And they played on a line that all they did was forecheck. You dump the puck in, you go in, you hit the person, they cough up the puck. When you get the puck, you don't try to score, you just dump it back in again. And I would rotate through all 4 of my lines regularly. We're down by a goal. It's 20 seconds left in the game. It's my 4th line's turn to go out there. I put my 4th line out there. I mean, unless it's a state championship game situation, it's just a regular season game. It's going to win or lose, and pretty soon the kids on my 3rd and 4th line knew when it came down to it, they had to do their job. And I'd make their job as simple as possible. When they were younger and they couldn't really do much, we had a play called chocolate, where we just had a person stand on this side of the net, and chocolate meant throw it to the person on this side of the net. She would catch it, take a step, and shoot. Anything more than that wouldn't happen. She can't run, she couldn't cradle, she couldn't do whatever. She couldn't switch hands, she couldn't dodge a defender. But when she was open and we yelled chocolate, I don't care if you can score better than she can. You play chocolate and give her an opportunity to score. And eventually, doing that enough times, she started to score. We had a goal on the other side. It was called Vanilla that did the same thing. Usually try to find a left-hander. Plays were pretty simple. Bantam year, I had a couple of girls that I coached playing hockey, and I coached one of them her bantam year, which was 7th and 8th grade, and barely could skate. Couldn't puck handle, but she was on the 4th line, and she went out there and did what she told. She ended up getting the game-winning goal for the state championship for Bantams that year. The only goal she ever scored her entire career was a game winner in the state championships, and she got it because she was standing in front of the net with her stick on the ice. Someone took a shot, the puck came right out on her stick, and she went like that, and it went in the empty net behind the goalie, and she won the state championship. And I'm like, having her on the bench and not having that opportunity, and she had been there hundreds of times and missed that shot and never came to her, but she was there that time, and she was ecstatic. And that's where you need to coach them where they are. Don't expect them to score the game-winning goal. I mean, that never happens. Can't say never, because it does. Okay, so let's talk about, the other thing we do with our culture is show up off the field. Somebody has a birthday, we go celebrate. Somebody's having a bad day, we celebrate. Twice I've had the misfortune of coaching hockey where a player or a coach from the other team had passed away. And both times we made sure we had black armbands with the coach's name or the player's number on it when we played them the next game, just out of respect. We're here for everybody. It's a community, right? It's not us versus them. We are all hockey players. We are all lacrosse players. We are all part of it. We did community service. We would celebrate birthdays, celebrate exams, any big wins that they had. We tried to grow the whole sport. I would have my high school players coach youth.
Yeah, how do you celebrate? Does that look like everyone's going somewhere, or you celebrate on the field with an extra?
It depends on what it was. If it was a big deal, if they signed with a college team or something, like they had their signing day, we had ice cream party at their house. We brought the ice cream and we celebrated. Sometimes they had birthdays in the summer or whatever. We would have like a birthday party for all the girls that had a summer birthday that we couldn't celebrate during the season. We would go do something fun. We've actually invited teams to join us when we were out of town. We had like double headers. We were doing whatever. We'd say, come join us. We're all going, but pizza we're buying. We'll buy pizza for your whole team. We're just going to all get together and we'll all just, because you play each other a lot. You get to know everybody. So it really depends on what it was. Sometimes we just send flowers. Sometimes we just go over and hang out, paint their room. We painted one girl's room. She was redecorating, and I mean, it was a tiny room and we had 20 people to show up to paint it. So it wasn't much of a, wasn't very well thought out, but they appreciated it. They knew we were there for them.
We would do a birthday drill. If my birthday, I would let them pick a drill to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then all the people in the off season will be like, Coach, my birthday's in July,
Yeah.
so do I get one today? We play a lot of power and finesse on birthday drills. Me too.
It takes forever. And everyone's standing in a line for too long anyway.
I agree. I would always roll my eyes. I'm like, oh, of course is what we're doing. You can ask all of them. But yes.
I have found that and I've done some research on it, that even at the college level, they don't do a lot of game video for girls, because they're more focused on my hair looks awful. then what that passes. So we got around that a little bit by we would watch game videos of another team or of a college game. Then they could focus more on where are you seeing the triangles? Where are you seeing the mismatch? Where are you seeing overload the zone? What defense are they playing? We'd watch 5 minutes. I would tell my girls that within the first 5 minutes of the game, I'm going to call a timeout at the first opportunity we have. You're going to tell me what defense there is. What defense they're playing. You're going to tell me who their best player is and who their worst player is. Because on defense, you're going to leave their worst player alone. If she scores, that's fine. But we're going to double team the best player, and that's where you're going to slide from. And you need to pay attention to the game. What defense are they playing? Who are they going to pass it to? This girl never passes. Those kinds of things. Great. Let's figure that out. We can have 11 people defend her because she will not pass it to anybody else on the team. And a lot of teams, you can win early games with that one player and do first of the game in hockey especially, but also in lacrosse. I would say my regular season, for the first half of the game, I was never above 500. But by the end of the season, my third and fourth line knew they needed to step up the game and do what we've been talking about because we're going to rely on them, even if it means losing the game. And we lost fewer games by still playing the third and the fourth line. We got into the playoffs. Their coach, they shrunk their bench, so they're only playing one set. And we can go through all four lines all game, and we're all fresh. We put our first fresh line out there. I don't care who you got out there. I can put my first, second, third, fourth line out there. We're going to have fresh legs, and your players aren't going to know what to do with it. And so we did much better in postseason than we did regular season. Grow the whole sport. So I mentioned we have high school players would be assistant coaches. We would have them mentor. We would actually mentor people for jobs. We would travel to watch other levels of play. Whenever there's a tournament here, we would take the whole team. We're just going to go there and watch them for the day, and we'll have pizza while we're there, just because it's fun for lacrosse. I would tell my parents, we need 6 volunteers for the year-end tournament. And even though we didn't, and I would make sure we had 6 parents show up to do the volunteering for whatever, and the players would go, and we would do a watch party, and let's go support. We're not even playing for the championship, but we're going to go watch some great lacrosse and have fun. And all the girls that are out there, right? I mean, they all play off season and everything else, which also brings up officiating. I required, both in hockey and lacrosse, I had my captains, they all had to certify as officials. You didn't have to ref a game, you didn't have to work a game, you all had to certify. Go take the class, read the rule book, pass the test, and almost every single person in hockey and lacrosse that did that started officiating. And I think there are still a couple of them that still are officiating. And I haven't coached since before COVID. And it was just a part of the game that they grew to love. For me, it was a different perspective on a game that I loved. Like I mentioned that, even when I was working as an off-ice official, I was exposed to another level of hockey and a whole set of assignments that I didn't even know they were there. I assumed that they were there, but I didn't know how they worked or who did it or how it functioned. And it's just another facet of an amazing sport that I just understand so much better now, having that perspective. I even tried to get some of their older siblings to go with them and even take the parents. I said, you might want to go take the day. Just go take the day, sit through the class, you don't even have to take the exam if you don't want, but just go. And I had several parents that even did that. Okay, last thing, encourage curiosity and develop a love for the game. I think you've got to develop the mindset of, I want to instill in my players a love of this sport. They're not going to all play college. Some of them, my daughters included, I don't even think picked up a lacrosse stick after their last game. But they love the sport. They had a great time doing it. Some of them are still coaching. Some of them are still officiating. I had 2 of my hockey players. Neither one of them were very good players. Loved the game. We'd go on hockey trips where we would fly to Colorado, go watch the Avalanche play, and then go down and watch Colorado College or DU play. So we'd just go do those kinds of trips. And a couple of the players that did that with came back and they became an assistant equipment manager for the Grizzlies for free. They didn't pay them anything. They just sharpened skates and taped sticks and moved stuff and did laundry and that kind of stuff. And they both went to Arizona and worked for the college team down there. And they both got jobs as an equipment manager in the NHL One of them did it for 6 years with the Anaheim Ducks. One of them still does it with the Philadelphia Flyers. They came to play in Utah last year. I got to go down and meet John before the game and ask, and I keep in touch with him. We have lunch together every once in a while. I still do with a lot of my players. And I met with him and he said, this is crazy. He said, my first job in high school was selling food at the Delta Center. I just passed my boss. She's still doing it. It's called the Delta Center again. I'm back as an equipment manager for an NHL team playing a regular season game in Utah. It was like, yeah, it's kind of a pretty amazing thing. But that's carried them on for quite a while. The best thing for me, I got to participate and actually present at the Lacrosse National Convention, which is fun. Been out there a couple of times. I highly recommend that. You get to meet amazing people. You get to learn other facets of the game. You get to steal all of the great ideas and make them your own. Everybody knows that R&D stands for rip off and duplicate, which is great. But the dedication for people that are coming tonight for things like this, including the staff, you guys are some of the most dedicated staff I've seen in any sport at any level. It's truly obvious that you care for the game and all the players that you coach and work with and what you've been able to do. I can't thank you enough. For me as well, it's been a fantastic experience. I get to, when they were still doing it, I was still doing the coaching certification, and I would travel regionally and I would put on the USA Lacrosse coaching certificates. I'd get to go train that and go meet with a bunch of other coaches and talk about all their coaching, and that was done. And I still do that twice a year for here. But a year and a half ago, I got a phone call that for a job position that I didn't even know existed before I applied. And I heard pretty incredible words that just said, welcome to the NHL. And that never would have happened if I hadn't been officiated, if I hadn't stuck around with it. I've had some great opportunities. And I feel my experience may not shine as bright on a grand stage for my efforts in lacrosse. I still feel like the friendships that I've made and the impact that we've had on the players and their love of the game. I had my shoulder surgery about 4 years ago, and the nurse that was my nurse was one of my former lacrosse players. And you talk about that confidence that they get, that they're like, I can do this. I can do this as hard, because you're going to have hard things on and off the field. But no, you've got a team, you've got some support, and you can do it, right? So thank you all for your dedication and everything you give to the sport. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. I love hearing all of your stories. I think you're.
You haven't heard all my stories.
I know. Barely. Like I have heard like none of this. So it's always fun.
If you're interested, this is the NHL rules guide
Oh, that is.
Oh yeah, give it to us.
for this season.
Wow, that's insane. Well, talk about prodigy. Nikki used to be my high school coach.
That's true.
Look what's happened because of Nikki.
I know. No, because of Nikki. She's the reason I got involved and stay involved and still do all of this stuff. Her and Cassie. Yeah, they are phenomenal. And honestly, their love of the